When you picture ancient Egypt, you probably imagine golden pyramids, mysterious tombs, and powerful pharaohs. Hollywood makes it look like a land of beauty and wonder. But the truth? If you were suddenly dropped into ancient Egypt, you wouldn't survive. The heat, the diseases, the brutal labor, the cruel justice system, and even the terrifying afterlife would quickly destroy you. So, let's travel back thousands of years and uncover why survival in ancient Egypt was nearly impossible. The heat and the Nile. First, let's talk about the environment. Egypt is mostly desert, and the sun was merciless. Imagine walking barefoot on scorching sand, your skin burning, no shade in sight. There was no clean bottled water, no fans, no escape from the heat. The only source of life was the Nile River. Yes, it provided water and fertile soil, but it was also deadly. Crocodiles and hippos lurked beneath the surface. And hippos, believe it or not, were among the deadliest animals in Egypt. Even pharaohs feared them. And the Nile itself was unpredictable. Some years it overflowed and drowned villages. Other years it dried up, leaving people to starve. Survival depended on a river that could betray you at any moment. Now let's talk about your health. Spoiler alert, it wouldn't be good. Studies of mummies show us that Egyptians suffered from clogged arteries, arthritis, and cavities so severe their teeth were ground to stubs. Parasites thrived in the Nile, infecting people with worms that burrowed into their bodies. Malaria, tuberculosis, and smallpox weren't just common, they were everywhere. And here's the kicker. There were no antibiotics, no modern surgeries, no painkillers. If you had a toothache, a priest might chant a spell over your head. If you had an infection, your best hope was honey smeared on the wound. One small cut could mean a slow, agonizing death. Think working on the pyramids was an honor? Think again. Workers toiled under the blazing sun for endless hours, dragging massive stones with ropes and wooden sledges. Their meals were simple: bread, onions, and beer. Not bad at first, until you realize the bread was filled with sand grit that slowly destroyed their teeth. Archaeologists have found mass graves of pyramid workers, many with broken bones, worn-down joints, and arthritis in men who were barely in their 20s. Your back would give out, your body would collapse, and if you slowed down, you were replaceable. And heaven help you if you broke the law. Egypt's justice system was brutal. Steal bread or disobey an order, and you could face beatings, whippings, amputations, or worse. Torture wasn't unusual, and confessions were often beaten out of people, whether they were guilty or not. Remember, Pharaoh was considered a living god. Defy him, and you weren't just breaking a law, you were committing blasphemy. And that could get you killed. Speaking of gods, religion dominated every aspect of life. From birth to death, rituals controlled what you ate, what you wore, even how you bathed. Miss a ceremony, offend a priest, or disrespect a shrine, that was social suicide. And death wasn't an escape. In the afterlife, Egyptians believed your heart would be weighed against a feather of truth. If your heart was heavy with sin, it was tossed to Ammit, a monstrous creature with the head of a crocodile, the body of a lion, and the back legs of a hippo. Fail the test, and your soul was gone forever. But let's say you were born in ancient Egypt. Would you even survive childhood? Not likely. Almost half of all children died before the age of 5. Malnutrition, infections, and accidents wiped out countless young lives. Mothers often buried multiple children in their lifetimes. Even if you survived to adulthood, your life expectancy was short. Reaching 40 made you one of the lucky ones. Now, let's say you did survive childhood. Don't expect luxury. Most people were peasants. You'd live in a tiny mud brick hut, sleep on the floor, and eat the same monotonous meals of bread and beer every single day. Your teeth would wear down to the roots from all the grit in the bread. Forget about climbing the social ladder. If you weren't born into nobility, you'd likely die a farmer. The only slim chance to rise up was to become a scribe or a priest, but very few ever did. The elites lived in wealth. The pharaoh lived like a god, and you'd be stuck working the fields until your body broke. Now you might be thinking, at least death brought peace. But in ancient Egypt, even that wasn't guaranteed. Mummification was expensive, and only the wealthy could afford a proper embalming and golden sarcophagus. If your family was poor, you were buried in a shallow grave, left to rot or eaten by animals. And without the right burial rituals, Egyptians believed your soul would never find rest. So not only was life a struggle, but your death could mean eternal suffering. So let's recap. Scorching heat, deadly rivers, rampant disease, back-breaking labour, cruel punishments, short lifespans, and an afterlife where even your soul wasn't safe. The pyramids might look majestic, but behind the beauty was a brutal reality. Ancient Egypt was deadly. So, what do you think? Would you have stood a chance in the land of the pharaohs, or would Egypt have swallowed you? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for more dark history stories.